Have you ever felt like your emotions are tied to someone else's actions, or you're constantly affected by what happens around you? Detachment can be the most powerful tool to free yourself from these emotional chains. Whether you struggle with anxious attachment in relationships or feel stuck in chasing outcomes you can't control, detachment will bring peace, clarity, and control back to your life. Today, I'll show you how to emotionally detach from people, situations, and outcomes while still staying connected to your true self. And make sure you stay until the end, because I'll share a life-changing exercise that will help you master the art of detachment in all areas of your life. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means you don't care or that you're cold, but that's not the case. Detachment is about emotional independence, about being able to maintain your peace and stability regardless of external circumstances. For those of us with anxious attachment, this can be especially important. Before I understood the power of detachment, I was like a log floating in the ocean, thrown around by the waves of other people's emotions and actions. If they were happy, I was happy. If they were upset, I was upset. My entire emotional state was dependent on others. When I began to practice detachment, everything changed. I learned that I cannot control other people or what happens outside of me, but I can always control how I respond. This shift was life-changing. I stopped feeling desperate for validation from others and started finding stability within myself. Think of detachment like being a cake. You are the cake, complete and whole in yourself. The people, situations, and outcomes around you are the icing. Sure, they can make life sweeter, but they are not part of the core ingredients that make up who you are. The icing can melt, slide off, or disappear, but the cake remains solid. When you emotionally detach, you realize that no matter what happens around you, whether people approve of you, whether outcomes align with your desires, you remain the same solid cake. Your essence, your worth, and your peace are not diminished because the icing is imperfect. Detachment is not about denying connection or suppressing your emotions. It's about choosing to remain centered within yourself. It's about creating emotional boundaries where you can love, care, and invest in relationships, but not at the expense of your own peace. When you master detachment, you are no longer controlled by the actions of others or by the uncertainty of life's events. Instead, you navigate life with a sense of inner calm and resilience that no one else can take from you. Now that we've covered the basics of detachment, it's time to explore why trying to control others or outcomes only leads to frustration. Trust me, once you understand this, you'll be able to free yourself from so much unnecessary stress. One of the hardest things for people, especially those with anxious attachment, is accepting that they cannot control other people. You might try to influence your partner's behavior, check their phone, or get overly involved in managing situations, thinking that by doing so, you'll find stability. But this only leads to more anxiety and frustration. Why? Because no matter how hard you try, you cannot control what someone else does or feels. The key to emotional freedom is realizing that safety and stability come from within, not from others or from controlling outcomes. When you place your emotional well-being in someone else's hands, you are giving away your power. You will drive yourself crazy trying to control things that are outside your control, like a relationship or a specific outcome at work. At the heart of this issue is the mistaken belief that by controlling someone else, you can create a sense of security. Many people with anxious attachment patterns feel that if they can just ensure that the other person behaves in a certain way, whether it's being loyal, loving, or attentive, they will feel safe. However, this is an illusion. In reality, the more you try to control someone's behavior, the more disconnected you become from yourself. It creates a cycle of dependency where your emotional well-being is tied to someone else's actions. This constant need for control only deepens anxiety and prevents you from feeling truly secure. The truth is, other people's behavior is beyond your control, and trying to manage it only leads to frustration. You may temporarily feel in control when checking someone's phone or trying to dictate their actions, but these behaviors ultimately breed distrust, insecurity, and a loss of peace. Instead of feeling more secure, you end up feeling more anxious, because the more you attempt to control others, the more you reinforce the belief that your safety depends on something outside of yourself. The real solution to emotional freedom lies in shifting your focus away from controlling others and back to yourself. This is where true power and stability come from. When you understand that you cannot change how others think or behave, you can redirect that energy into controlling what you can: your own reactions, your boundaries, and your emotional well-being. By doing this, you regain your personal power and stop handing it over to someone else. This shift is empowering because it reminds you that the only person responsible for your happiness and emotional health is you. Instead of being preoccupied with what others are doing or how they're treating you, you become more invested in how you are treating yourself. You start asking questions like, am I respecting my own boundaries? Or, how can I take care of my needs in this situation? These questions bring you back into alignment with your inner strength, helping you detach from the need to control external situations. Once you let go of trying to control others, you open up to a deeper sense of trust, not just in yourself, but in the universe. You begin to trust that things will unfold as they are meant to, and that your well-being does not depend on manipulating outcomes. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent to relationships or situations. Rather, it means that you approach them from a place of empowerment. You are no longer reacting to what others do, but choosing how you respond from a grounded and peaceful state of mind. Trusting the process also means recognizing that uncertainty is a natural part of life. No matter how much you try to plan or control, there will always be things that are unpredictable. Instead of fearing this unpredictability, you begin to embrace it, knowing that you have the inner resources to handle whatever comes your way. In the past, I used to obsess over relationships, trying to make things work, even when the signs were clear that it wasn't the right match. I was attached to the idea of being with that person. When my ex cheated on me, it was the universe's way of forcing me to detach. If it hadn't happened, I would have stayed in that relationship, losing myself in the process. By letting go of the need to control the outcome, I found peace and realized that my value wasn't dependent on that person's actions. Now that you understand why trying to control others doesn't work, let's dive into how detachment can actually empower you. This next section will show you how detachment can help you cultivate self-worth and independence, something we all need more of in our lives. Detaching from people and outcomes isn't about being emotionless or not caring. It's about realizing that your worth comes from within, not from external validation. When you detach, you create a safe space within yourself, a foundation that isn't shaken by someone else's opinion or by life's ups and downs. This space allows you to build confidence and self-worth because you are no longer reliant on others to feel complete. Detachment reduces anxiety because it takes away the desperation to control or be validated. When you are emotionally detached, you know that you are whole on your own. You can enjoy relationships and experiences, but you aren't dependent on them for happiness. When you learn to detach from people's opinions and external outcomes, you give yourself the permission to trust your inner self. You begin to see that your self-worth doesn't come from how much attention you get from others or how well things turn out in life. Instead, it stems from the realization that you are inherently valuable just as you are. This inner confidence begins to grow because you no longer seek external validation to feel whole. You become more secure in your decisions, and your sense of self-worth becomes independent of whether someone approves of you or not. Imagine you're dating someone, and instead of worrying about when they'll propose or if they'll text you back, you focus on your own growth and happiness. You lean back into your natural self, and this energy is far more attractive than chasing someone or being overly concerned with their actions. By detaching from the need for constant reassurance, you become more magnetic. People are drawn to those who are deeply themselves and not dependent on external validation. Now that you see how detachment can help you build your own self-worth, it's time to get practical. In the next section, I'll share some actionable steps to help you start practicing detachment in your daily life. You won't want to miss these powerful techniques. Learning to detach takes practice, but it's a skill that will transform your life. The first step is recognizing when you're getting too attached to a person or outcome. When you feel anxious or obsessive, that's a sign you're relying too much on external factors for your emotional state. Detachment allows you to step back and observe your thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. Practical steps: meditation and visualization. Spend time meditating on the reality you want for yourself, independent of other people or outcomes. Visualize yourself thriving, happy, and content, no matter what happens around you. Cognitive reframing. This involves changing the way you interpret situations. Instead of thinking, "They didn't text me, so they must not like me," reframe it as, "This is a great opportunity to focus on my own growth and happiness." Journaling. Write down your thoughts and fears about attachment. Then reframe those fears into positive, self-empowering statements. Let's say you're anxiously waiting for someone to text you back. Instead of obsessing over the delay, write in your journal, "I am enough, with or without this person's attention. My happiness comes from within, and I trust that what's meant for me will come in its own time." This small act of detachment allows you to reclaim your power. Now that you have these practical tools for practicing detachment, it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. A powerful meditation that will help you truly embody detachment. Trust me, this exercise will be a game changer, so stick with me until the end. As promised, here's a meditation exercise that will help you cultivate detachment. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine yourself as the center of your universe. Visualize the people, outcomes, and situations around you like planets orbiting in space. They may come closer or drift further away, but you remain the constant, steady presence in the center. As you breathe deeply, remind yourself, "I am whole, I am complete. Everything outside of me is an addition, not a necessity." This meditation will ground you in the understanding that no matter what happens, you are enough. Now that you've experienced this powerful meditation, let's quickly recap the key takeaways so you can start implementing these lessons in your life right away. Today, we explored the art of emotional detachment, how it helps you build self-worth, and how to detach from outcomes you can't control. Remember, detachment is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about creating emotional independence and finding peace within yourself. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your experiences in the comments. Let me know how detachment is transforming your life. You are your own source of power. Keep cultivating that strength.